Without another word, he hung up. I waited a few minutes before calling him back. "Do you see how cruel your daughter is now?" I asked. "Or do you still want me to take her on this trip?" He was silent for a long moment, and when he finally spoke, he said, "I'm torn between two of my children. I don't know what to do." A part of me felt bad for him, but a bigger part of me was relieved. Finally, my parents were seeing Bonnie for who she really was. As I sit here now, I can't help feeling a mix of emotions. I know I did the right thing by standing up for myself, by refusing to let Bonnie take advantage of my generosity. But it's sad that it had to come to this. I wanted this to be a family trip, a chance to reconnect and create new memories. And despite everything, Bonnie is still family. Now my brother and I might be able to enjoy the trip without her, but I know my parents will be upset by her absence. Still, maybe this is the wake-up call we all needed. Maybe my parents will finally see that their constant coddling of Bonnie has created a monster, and it's time to address issues that have simmered for years. So here I am, packed and ready to go on a trip I planned and paid for, though the excitement has been replaced by a knot of anxiety. My brother's still coming, my parents are on the fence, and Bonnie, well, she's probably plotting her revenge as we speak. Remember how I canceled Bonnie's ticket after she tried to kick me off my own trip? Well, that was just the beginning. Bonnie went nuclear in the family group chat, but didn't stop there. She even tried roping my brother into her scheme, proposing they co-sponsor the trip so everyone could go without me. My brother, no fool, pointed out the obvious. "Do you even have that kind of money?" Bonnie's answer: "No, but I'll pay you back soon." My brother, who knows she's been fired from more jobs than he can count, quickly shut down that plan. When my brother declined, Bonnie went on a rampage, calling him a selfish jerk and a mommy's boy. But it didn't end there. For days, she was at our parents' house, crying about how we were abandoning her and tearing the family apart. My parents finally stood their ground and told her that if she wanted to come, she needed to apologize. Of course, in Bonnie's world, apologizing is for others. So, the day of the trip came with a tense silence. My brother and I were ready to enjoy Hawaii, while my parents wore faces of quiet disappointment. Once we arrived, the beauty of Hawaii began to ease the tension. We went snorkeling, attended a private luau, and took a helicopter tour. Slowly, I saw my parents start to relax. But Bonnie didn't let us enjoy it peacefully. She bombarded my phone with angry texts swinging between wishing we'd get sunburned and begging to be missed. My parents, finally seeing her behavior for what it was, held firm, refusing to let her ruin the experience. By the end of the trip, we were filled with memories and souvenirs. My parents even thanked me, admitting they'd had a wonderful time, though they were sad Bonnie wasn't there. Once we were home, I learned Bonnie had blocked me on all social media, furious that I'd shared trip photos. She even threatened to cut off my parents, though this was an empty threat since she lives with them, rent-free. Eventually, my parents told her she had to find her own place, refusing to enable her any longer. It's been a few months since the Hawaii trip. I hoped things would calm down, but if anything, the drama's gotten worse. Bonnie moved out, though my parents covered her first 2 months' rent. For the first few months, she stayed away, showing up only for occasional dinners. But soon she began dropping by more often, especially around dinner. My parents suspected something was wrong and confronted her. Turns out she hadn't paid a single month's rent since moving out. She'd been couch surfing and avoiding her landlord, blowing her money on things like new shoes for work instead of rent. When my parents offered to lend her money to catch up, Bonnie refused, insisting on moving back home instead. My dad finally stood firm and told her she was on her own. She tried every trick she knew, crying, guilt-tripping, even threatening to cut ties, but they didn't cave. With our parents firm in their stance, Bonnie turned to my brother, trying to guilt him into helping her financially. When he declined, she went so far as to suggest he borrow money from me to help her, though asking me directly was beneath her. So here we are. Bonnie's out on her own, likely couch surfing again, and my parents are sticking to their guns. As for me, I'm finally feeling a sense of peace, though I'm sure this isn't the last we'll hear of the Bonnie saga. For now, I'm just grateful my parents have finally stopped enabling her behavior. Maybe this tough love is what she needs to finally grow up, though only time will tell.